Hi, welcome to my book and build in the makerspace. In this presentation, I'm going to go over the UTech model for makerspaces, examples of leveling up in the UTech model, what a book and build is, the book that I chose, the build that I chose for this project, and using the UTech to guide this project. And then I'll wrap up with my APA citation. First, let's talk about the UTech model for makerspaces. UTech stands for using, tinkering, experimenting, and creating. During that using stage, the first stage, students are just sampling and playing with things that are already pre-made. They're existing things that they may already be familiar with. And then in the tinkering stage, they're playing more, but they're also researching and looking a little deeper into how they can create something with those existing materials. Now, in the experimenting stage, students are trying to build things and create things, and they may fail, but they will also learn from those failures and then readjust their plan or redesign their model or their project and try again. And then in the event or the creating stage, they're inventing, they're creating something new, and they're producing a product. So let's look at leveling up examples. With the snowflake design, if we give students a coloring sheet with a snowflake and they cut it out and maybe they glue it, that's just using. That's an existing material. They're probably familiar with it already, and they're just kind of playing around with it. Now, if you want them to start tinkering and experimenting with snowflake design, you can introduce them to the Snowflake Maker design program that we used. And this is my snowflake design that I came up with. I probably did 3 or 4 different designs and just playing with different shapes. And it was really fun to, open up the snowflake and see what it would look like if you did different shapes. So then on the right side is my unique paper snowflake that I actually created. So you have to fold the paper and then cut where you want those shapes. And so I tried to follow my design that I had done, but I used a little bit smaller piece of paper, and so I didn't have room for all of my shapes, but it came out pretty close to what I had designed in the Snowflake Maker program. Now, another example of leveling up I used with printmaking. So, if you gave students a set of pre made stamps, and these are stamps from the Melissa and Doug brand, and you gave them those stamps to play with ink and paper, that would be the using stage. But if you wanted students to tinker and experiment with different materials for stamps, then you could give them cardboard and straws and maybe um, dried pasta or bubble wrap or yarn or maybe like pipe cleaners and have them make their own stamps. And that would be researching and kind of experimenting and tinkering with those different materials. And those materials could be recycled and repurposed. The final stage would be the creating stage, and you would have students maybe use the linoleum and cutting tools to make their own printmaking. And so they can create something completely new and a product with that. The book and build lessons bring books and maker spaces together. So, in the library or classroom makerspace, this is going to help students have a deeper, more meaningful learning experience because it's going to tie that book and the content with a physical project and help them kind of expand and those lessons that they have in the book. So, the book that I chose for my book and build is just a biography on Pablo Picasso. It was probably meant for through 4th grade. And this book has a really cute cartoon style. It takes them through Picasso's life and his different periods in his art, like the blue period and the rose period. It talks about Cubism, and it just gives them a really nice overview. Lessons from this book and from Picasso's life that students might um, take away are that colors can reflect emotions, like his blue paint during his blue period. Don't be afraid to try new things. Picasso was constantly experimenting and trying new techniques and just seeing, what else he could do. Art can be a way to express your emotions and unique style. Use your imagination and be original. So they can take these lessons and apply them in the book and build. So the build is going to use cardboard, paint, glue, various other materials, and they're going to create a dimensional Picasso inspired self portrait. So it won't just be with paint, it'll be different mediums that they're going to mix. So, in the using stage for this specific project and this book and build, students could color two Picasso inspired coloring sheets. They can cut the faces apart and then reassemble the features to make two new portraits. So I printed these out, I colored them, and then I swapped their faces and their features, and I got two new, very Picasso looking portraits. And that was the using stage. Now, the tinkering stage, students could take these face parts and tinker and just play around and research what they wanted their portrait to look like. And they can also draw on this at this stage too. Now, with experimenting, students can start experimenting with different materials, not just paper and, coloring sheets. They can use this to start adding new materials. It could be recyclables or repurposed items. Here, I started coloring the facial features. I used markers. I drew on some earrings, and I added some yarn hair. But I will say at this stage, I decided that I really wanted my final product to be a little bit more abstract. This was still too close to my actual appearance. So, this is the final stage, creating. So, I really went all out with materials and color, and I used cardboard and scrapbooking paper because the scrapbooking paper allowed me to have more prints and textures than just paint alone. So the solid purple pieces are cardboard that I painted, and then the floral pieces, that's either scrapbooking paper or that is um, recycled paper from an old notebook cover. So the leaves on the ear, that's from the notebook cover, and then the leaves that are my green hair instead of my gray hair, those are foam sheets that I had, and so I just cut leaf shapes. And so on some of this portrait, there's probably like 3 or 4 different layers of materials, and then the foam leaves, they actually go off of the cardboard face and onto the background paper. So, this was really fun project, lots of different materials and different mediums. I don't know if you can tell how dimensional it is from this photo, but the flower petals that are my eyelashes are actually curling up. And then, like I said, the foam pieces are different dimensions. Um, the cardboard really raises all the pieces up. So this was really fun. I can also see this being for like a high school student, um, maybe using AI technology to enter in a picture of their face, and then using the AI technology to create a Picasso style portrait. and then taking that image and maybe using it on a laser engraver and cutting it either out of, thick cardboard or even maybe some MDF, like a really thin wood board, and using the laser engraver in that way. So you could really level this project up depending on what grade you're looking at. So, this book and build with the Picasso book really encourages students to use their imagination and think differently about self portraits. It requires problem solving skills when working with the materials. For example, the cardboard was really hard to cut with just regular scissors. So, they might want to use thinner cardboard. They might want to experiment with different materials to make their portraits more dimensional. They might even explore using sculpture and air dry clay to make their portraits. This also helps build students' respect for originality because everyone's portrait is going to come out so different. This is the APA citation for my Pablo Picasso book that I used. You guys should check it out. It's a great book. I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed this project. Thank you so much for watching my book and build. I hope you'll check out the book and maybe even use this project in your makerspace.